Dr. Maya Renfield stood at the heart of the colossal chamber, forcing herself to appear steady despite the storm of nerves twisting inside her. The hall was vast, larger than any stadium back on Earth, with walls that climbed into what felt like infinity. Soft, shifting lights drifted freely through the air, scattering eerie shadows across the polished floor. Surrounding her in tiered seats were dozens of alien delegates, their forms as varied as dreams and nightmares. Some bore clusters of eyes blinking in restless patterns. Others waved slender tentacles where arms should have been, and a few resembled towering trees whose bark-like faces shifted as though carved by wind. This was Concordia Nexus, the most revered station in the galaxy, a place where civilizations gathered to face the judgment of the Galactic Council. And Maya, she was humanity's first envoy, the very first human to stand before these ancient beings. Her arrival here had been the result of a journey that consumed 3 long years. Ever since Earth intercepted the first radio pulses from the stars, proof undeniable that they were not alone, everything had changed. That signal led to the Cathari, a serene and crystalline species who revealed the existence of the Council and extended an invitation for humankind to be evaluated. For months, Maya studied alien languages, gestures, and rituals. She knew this moment carried impossible weight. Acceptance meant humanity would join the interstellar community. Rejection meant isolation in their tiny spiral arm of space. She swallowed her fear and steadied her breathing. A resonant voice filled the chamber, echoing from everywhere at once. "Dr. Renfield," it intoned. Maya lifted her gaze. The speaker was a tall, sapphire-skinned figure with 4 arms and eyes that gleamed like molten silver. "Welcome to Concordia Nexus. Today begins the formal evaluation to determine whether your species may walk among the stars in harmony." Maya gave a respectful nod. She had studied this ritual. Every new race endured it. The Council demanded proof that newcomers would not unravel galactic peace. "The assessment will be performed by our most gifted telepath," the speaker continued. "Zyrix Thorn of the Velnathi will examine your mind and, through it, the nature of your kind." From the dim edges of the chamber, a figure emerged. Maya's breath faltered. Zyrix was unlike anything she had ever imagined, tall and elongated. Its limbs stretched almost unnaturally, its pallid skin glowing faintly as if moonlight lived beneath the surface. Its skull was smooth, larger than human proportion, and its face was dominated by twin orbs of endless black, eyes like voids, bottomless as space itself. The Velnathi were whispered about across the stars, their psychic prowess unmatched. And now one of them was stepping toward her. Maya had studied the Velnathi during her long preparation. They were the most powerful telepaths known, able to read minds across a chamber and weave entire networks of shared thought among dozens of beings. For countless millennia, they had served as the Council's trusted mental examiners. A single touch from them could unearth the deepest layers of memory, emotion, and truth. "Do not be afraid." The voice slipped directly into her consciousness. Zyrix's lips never moved. The words resonated inside her skull, neither male nor female, but something fluid, balanced, alien. "This process has been conducted on more than 10,000 species. It is safe." Maya forced herself to exhale slowly. Around her, the chamber's audience watched with calm intrigue. Some delegates tapped glowing devices to record observations. Others flashed signals of light from their skin, and a few shifted colors in rippling waves, silent conversations, flowing in alien codes. To them this was routine. To Maya it was the axis on which humanity's destiny turned. Zyrix drifted closer, its elongated frame gliding with unnerving grace. Up close, Maya could see faint etchings across its pale skin, like microscopic scales or feathers that shimmered faintly under the chamber's lights. Its black, endless eyes bored through her, as though stripping away every layer of defense. "I must establish physical contact," the voice murmured in her mind. "A touch to your forehead will grant access to your mental structure. It will last only moments." Maya nodded. She had been trained for this, taught to summon calm, to hold her thoughts steady. The instructors on Earth had urged her to cling to peaceful imagery, rolling oceans, untouched forests, memories that softened the mind. The chamber hushed. Even the drifting lights seemed to dim, as if the station itself was holding its breath. Maya felt the weight of every gaze locked upon her. And Zyrix. This was the instant that would define whether her species was welcomed or abandoned. The Velnathi lifted one delicate hand. Its fingers were impossibly long, each tipped with silver-like points that gleamed faintly, as though forged for a sacred rite. The motion was slow, ceremonial, deliberate. "Think of what brings you peace," Xyrix whispered into her mind. "Let your thoughts flow unrestrained. Do not resist the bond." Maya closed her eyes and searched for tranquility. She pictured her grandmother's garden back on Earth, the warmth of the sun, the hum of birdsong, the perfume of blossoms carried on the wind. She remembered her grandmother's voice weaving stories of heroes and impossible adventures beneath the shade of old trees. The alien's fingertips brushed her forehead. A tingling spark leapt across her skin like static electricity. Delicate but real. Maya clung to her memories, steady and calm. And then everything shattered. Xyrix's bottomless eyes widened in horror. Its mouth opened, and from it came a sound unlike anything Maya had ever known. It was not a scream, not a roar, but a collision of both, an eruption that carried pure terror and raw confusion. The noise was not only heard, it was felt, vibrating through every bone and nerve. The chamber erupted. Delegates convulsed as if struck by invisible lightning. Velnathi in the audience clutched their heads and collapsed from their seats. Other psychic species wailed in chaotic frequencies. Skin-borne lights flared violently, and bodies shook with uncontrollable spasms. Xyrix stumbled backward, arms still outstretched, its glowing form flickering in waves of disarray. Xyrix's radiant form began to flicker like a failing beacon. Its legs buckled, and the telepath collapsed to the polished floor, writhing in violent spasms. Maya froze, paralyzed with shock. A moment ago, she had been lost in the serenity of her grandmother's garden. Now the most formidable psychic in the galaxy was convulsing at her feet. "Medical team to the chamber, immediately!" The council speakers. Four arms gestured wildly as its booming voice echoed across the hall. A swarm of floating medical drones surged forward, releasing beams of colored light across Xyrix's trembling body. Strange languages filled the chamber, a dozen voices speaking at once in panic. Security approached Maya, hesitating. She hadn't moved. She hadn't fought. All she had done was stand still as the alien touched her mind. What happened?" Maya asked, her voice trembling. No one answered. The chamber had erupted into chaos. Telepaths collapsed. Healers scrambled, and every gaze turned toward the human outsider. Through the storm stepped Dr. Kaylor, a scientist Maya had met earlier. He was a massive, fur-covered alien with 6 legs and round, compassionate eyes. "Dr. Renfield," he said in careful, accented English, his tone gentle but urgent. "Remain calm. Something unprecedented occurred during the evaluation. We must understand what your mind has done before we proceed." Maya's eyes darted to Xyrix, still unconscious, machine scanning its flickering body. "Will it survive?" "I don't understand." "What went wrong?" Kaylor's expression darkened. "Neither do we. In 10,000 evaluations, nothing like this has ever happened. The Velnathi are the strongest telepaths in all known space. They have touched the minds of beings composed of fire, of gas, of living light itself. But your mind," he hesitated, troubled. "Your mind did something to Xyrix we have never seen before." A chill ran through Maya. She had come here to represent humanity's best, to prove her species belonged among the stars. And yet, her very first act had been to cripple the Council's greatest telepath. As medical teams carried Xyrix away, Maya wondered if humanity's dream of joining the galactic community had already ended before it began. 3 days later, Maya spent the next 3 days confined to a modest chamber within Concordia Nexus, isolated and waiting. Kaylor visited often, bringing meals and fragmented updates. His tone was kind, but his eyes revealed deepening concern. On the second day, he admitted, "The scans show no physical damage. Xyrix's body is intact, perfectly functional. But the mind," his fur bristled with unease. "Something happened to the mind we cannot explain." Maya paced restlessly, her quarters projecting shifting images of serene, alien landscapes, oceans of liquid crystal, forests glowing with bioluminescence, holograms designed to soothe. But nothing calmed her gnawing guilt. She had come to unite Earth with the stars, and instead she had harmed a being revered across the galaxy. On the third day, Kaylor arrived with news. "Xyrix has awakened, but there is a complication." His voice carried a gravity that set Maya's stomach sinking. "The telepath is struggling to communicate. Each time it tries to describe what it experienced inside your mind, the words fracture, collapse. We need to hear it directly, come with me. Maya followed him through Concordia Nexus's vast corridors. Aliens of every shape and color turned as she passed, their stares heavy with suspicion and fear. Word had spread of what had happened in the evaluation chamber. The medical bay hummed with low rhythmic tones from machines of alien design. Xerix lay upon a bed that shifted perfectly to its elongated body, its once radiant skin now dim and pale, its black eyes, once sharp as void, now wavered with unfocused weakness. Around the bed stood several other Velnathi, their temples linked together by slender silver filaments that pulsed faintly with light. Maya recognized this ritual. When one of their kind was harmed, the others connected, sharing strength, thoughts, and fragments of memory. One of them turned toward her, its voice projected aloud, clear and solemn. Dr. Renfield, I'm Kissandriel, colleague of Xerix Thorn. We have been attempting to... We cannot yet understand what happened to our colleague. May we ask you some questions? Maya nodded. Of course. I want to help. Kissan stepped closer, careful not to make physical contact. Maya noticed the deliberate caution. When Xerix reached into your mind, what were you thinking about? Kissan asked. My grandmother's garden, Maya replied. I was remembering sitting there as a child, listening to her tell stories. It felt peaceful. The Velnathi exchanged puzzled chimes. One of them emitted a series of musical tones. Kissan translated for her. My colleague asks, were you thinking of a single story or many? Maya considered it. Many, she told me, dozens, fairy tales, myths, adventures. And then there are the books and movies I've read. It's like they're all there together. Excited chimes rippled through the Velnathi. Kissan's skin pulsed brighter. How many stories would you say? He pressed. Maya shrugged helplessly. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. My grandmother loved stories. She trailed off as the aliens' expressions shifted from curiosity to alarm. Dr. Kahlor stepped forward, urgency creasing his brow. Maya, this may be important. Explain what you mean by all those stories being in your mind at once. Maya searched for words. When I picture the garden, I don't only remember sitting there. The characters from those tales, Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella, brave knights, clever detectives are all in my head like people I once knew. The medbay fell into a stunned hush, punctuated only by the soft hum of machines. When you say they are real people, another Velnathi, Silas, asked slowly, do you mean you can imagine what they would say or do? Of course, Maya said. Isn't that what imagination is? Right now I could picture Sherlock Holmes reacting to this. He'd deduce that the extraordinary nature of the event demands an extraordinary explanation. At that moment, Xerix stirred and pushed himself upright. For the first time since the collapse, he spoke aloud, voice raw. So many voices! Xerix rasped. All speaking, all alive. Kissan rushed to his side. What voices? Explain. Pointing a trembling hand at Maya, Xerix managed. In her mind, not a single consciousness. A city of minds, thousands, millions, every story she has heard exists there as real people. When I reached in, I touched them all. Dr. Kahlor scribbled rapid notes on a small device. Xerix, can you describe what you experienced more clearly? He asked. Xerix closed his eyes and spoke slowly as if dredging memory from a storm. Imagine opening a door to one room and finding instead a vast city teeming with lives. Each person has a distinct reality, a private mind, yet they all occupy a single mental space. A chill crept down Maya's spine. Are you saying that when you read my thoughts you met the characters? She whispered. Not met, Xerix corrected, voice hollow. I became them. For a moment I was the child in the tale, then the wolf, then the hero, then the villain simultaneously. Thousands of existences, all equally vivid. Silas's fur bristled, an outward sign of alarm. This cannot be, he said. Conscious minds do not contain multiple separate persons. Without collapsing into madness, we have tested 10,000 species. Each individual houses one singular consciousness until now. We have never recorded a mind containing more than one voice, one Velnathi said. Maya thought for a moment. But don't you imagine things? Don't you dream or daydream? She asked. We do, Kissan replied. But our imaginings are faint shadows separate from reality. What Xerix describes is different. In your mind, imagined beings possess the same weight and presence as your own self. Xerix gave a weak nod. I could not separate which thoughts belonged to Dr. Renfield and which belonged to the story people. They were all equally alive. 10,000 conversations at once. Dr. Kaler's pen scratched furiously across his datapad. That explains the telepathic shock. Zyrix's mind could not process multiple distinct consciousnesses within a single host. The overload caused the collapse. Maya sank into a chair, stunned. So there's something wrong with my mind. With human minds, she whispered. Not wrong, Kaler said carefully. Different. Very different. Kisan regarded her with newfound respect. Dr. Renfield, what you describe is not a defect. It may be the most remarkable cognitive ability we have ever encountered. You can sustain multiple complete personality constructs within your consciousness and remain functional. By our models, this should be impossible. Maya thought of every book that had made her laugh or cry, of characters who felt like old friends. She had never questioned that fictional people could feel vivid inside her head. Could this be why every prior council evaluation had gone as expected? Precisely, Kaler said. Other species appear to possess a single linear consciousness. Their thoughts follow predictable patterns. Humans carry entire universes inside their minds. His voice held awe. Zyrix's tone returned, steadier this time. There is more, he said. When I entered Dr. Renfield's mind, the stories were not static memories. They were active, growing, recombining, spawning new narratives. I witnessed stories being born, merging with others, creating possibilities I could not have anticipated. It was like watching a star form inside a mind. A strange, involuntary pride warmed Maya at that description. Isn't that imagination? She offered. We take fragments of tales and weave new ideas from them. The room held a complicated silence, expressions folding. From wonder into apprehension, Kaler's voice was precise and cautious. We must run further tests. What you've shown us could rewrite our understanding of consciousness. For 2 weeks, Kaler and his team ran experiment after experiment. The labs brimmed with devices that tracked thought patterns and mapped the architecture of minds. Each test revealed anomalies that defied established theory. At the council's great chamber, Kaler presented the results. Maya sat beside him as dozens of alien delegates watched the demonstration. Human consciousness operates on principles we have never observed, Kaler announced. The council speaker leaned forward. Explain these principles, Dr. Kaler. A holographic diagram sprang to life above. Kaler's palm, Maya's neural activity rendered in shimmering lines. When we scan Dr. Renfield during ordinary thought, we do not find a single stream of consciousness, he explained. We find hundreds, each corresponding to a fictional character or narrative element she has absorbed across her life. Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the chamber. Some delegates flashed puzzled colors. Others emitted whistles of astonishment. These are not mere memories, Kaler continued. They are fully formed personality constructs, independent, simulacra capable of reasoning within the host mind. To demonstrate, Kaler posed a simple question to Maya. What would you do if stranded on a desert island? Maya paused, then answered with a mixture of humor and sincerity. First, I'd look for fresh water like Bear Grylls shows. Then I'd build shelter using techniques from Robinson Crusoe. I'd also think about ways to signal for rescue, like Tom Hanks in Castaway. On the hologram, Maya's brain lit with multiple overlapping patterns, distinct activations corresponding to different fictional templates. Kaler pointed. Observe, she simultaneously accesses knowledge from 3 separate fictional sources. Her mind treats these characters as real consultants. An alien formed of living crystal interrupted. Fictional entities cannot provide valid knowledge. They are imagination, not fact. Maya stood. But they can provide real knowledge. Everything I know about survival, tricks, principles. The mental grit comes from stories I've seen or read. The characters carry knowledge their creators embedded in them. When I recall Bear Grylls, I retrieve practical survival techniques. When I think of Robinson Crusoe, I summon shelter-building methods. Kaler nodded. It appears humans learn by building internal models, person-like constructs that persist as tools for reasoning. A large insectile delegate clicked its mandibles nervously. How many of these constructs does a typical human mind contain? It asked. Maya shrugged. I don't know. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands. Every book, every film, every person I've met leaves a trace. They build up. The chamber erupted into frantic discussion. Alien languages braided into a frantic chorus. And fear flickered across many faces as the implications sank in.